So welcome. My name is Eleni, and I've been good friends with Sarah for, I guess, 25 years, maybe a little more. And it's been an honor to call her one of my besties. I'm going to read this, or else I'm going to lose it. So I'm just going to go with the script. One of the first times I met her, we were part of a ritual together, walking in circles in a dance hall with candles in our hand, with Adi and Zuzu. They were with us, and Jenny Love was DJing. I can't remember what that ritual was for. It was probably had something to do with the moon and some kind of activation. And I'm sure lots of sparkles and bindies and such were involved. And it definitely activated some really good friendships. Sarah was magic. She was an old soul that comes from long golden ancestral lineages. And she was also a creator whose magic stretched way far ahead, and she was a trailblazer. She always had a beautiful balance to her. She was graceful, and she was fierce about what she loved and what she didn't. And she was a really good friend, and I'm really proud to have been one of her friends, as I'm sure all of you were too. Sarah was a collector, but not like a hoarder, like some of us. She was a collector of fine things, a collector of skills, adventures, fashion, music, styles. And I'm looking around, and she obviously was a very good collector of fabulous friends. And I know she loved you all so much. I want to thank her mom and her dad, who are actually zooming in right now from the East Coast. I want to thank her mom and dad and the rest of her family for raising such an amazing human. We're all so blessed to have had her in our lives. The day that Sarah went into hospice, I got COVID. So I had to wait a long time to go visit her. And we only lived about 7 minutes away from each other. But it was hard being away and not knowing how she was or what she was going through. And I'm sure many of you felt this way too, being so far away. The day that I finally did get to see her, the first thing she said to me was, "We have to plan my ceremony." I'm a diviner and I'm a minister, and I hold a lot of ceremonies, and I create a lot of rituals and ceremonies. And many of them Sarah was part of, but neither of us ever thought that the day would come that we'd be planning this ceremony, her ceremony. And what an honor it is and was. Teresa and Phil were also there. Teresa is Sarah's sister, who was here helping out and taking care of Sarah too. But Sarah wanted, she got it together because it was at a time when she really wasn't feeling good. She got it together, like all her energy up to sit and plan the ceremony. And so me and Phil and Teresa took notes. Sarah wanted it organized, she wanted it to the point, and she wanted it short. She had a designer's eye, so she knew exactly what she wanted. She chose who to speak. She also was adamant about us saying all women instead of all men. She loved the idea of a candle ceremony, which we'll be doing at the theater around 9 o'clock. And her father sent in some poems from the Nicaraguan poet Ruben Dario. And she chose a beautiful piece from the poem Primaveral, which is on the back of the prayer card that's in your program. And also, one of her best friends, Maritza, is going to read it, the same poem in a video. She's also on the East Coast. So I love the rose water. I already mentioned that. So we're bringing it to spritz ourselves, to feel her love and to feel rosy. So also, if we're calling in the direction, she wanted to call in prayers and hopes for her family and her community. And you know, when, like I said, when we were planning this, she didn't have a lot of energy. But she did manage to find a word for each of the directions for all of us that she wanted to call in for prayers for all of us. Yeah, so here we are at her ceremony. So we're going to begin. All women. So we're going to start by calling in the directions, which is a way to create sacred space and call in prayers and create a sacred container. It's good for calling in whatever magic and healing is needed to be. So the ones that are calling the directions, you guys can all come up. So you're starting. So what we do when we call in directions is everyone can get up if possible. We're gonna start with we'll start with the east, and we're gonna go in all four directions, and then we're gonna go above and below, and then the heart, which creates this really beautiful bubble. And so we're gonna start in the east, which is actually diagonal, and then we're gonna rotate to the right with each direction. And then we're gonna go above and then below, and then we can, hold our hearts during the heart part. So Richie, you're next.
Calling in the guardians of the east, the element of air. We thank you for being here. East, which is childhood, the sunrise, and new beginnings. With this direction, Sarah offers us hope.
Rotate to the right.
Yeah.
Calling in the guardians of the south, the element of fire. We thank you for being here, south, which is youth, passion, and transformation. With this direction, Sarah is offering us growth. Ah, woman.
Ah, woman.
Calling in the guardians of the west, the element of water. We thank you for being here, west, which is adulthood, deep mystery, and cleansing. With this direction, Sarah offers us transformation. Ah, woman.
Ah, woman.
Calling in the guardians of the north, the element of earth. We thank you for being here. North, which is elderhood and the time of dreams. Sarah is reminding us the love of our ancestors. Ah, woman.
Ah, woman.
Calling in the guardians of above, we thank you for being here today with us. Above, which is the infinite sky and the heavens, with this direction, Sarah is offering us acceptance. Ah, women.
Ah, woman.
Can't really crouch and do this, but.
If anyone wants to couch on it, now we're doing that.
Calling in the guardians below, we thank you for being here with us today. Below, which is Mama Earth and abundance. With this direction, Sarah is offering us grounding. Ah, woman.
Ah, woman.
Calling in the center and all of our big, beautiful hearts, we welcome you. With this direction, Sarah is offering us love. Ah, woman.
Ah, woman.
So now we have I'm going to start the memorial. So we have Alex, Sarah's brother, and Timothy.
Hello? Can you hear that song there?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So this is a song that Teresa, Sarah's sister, and her partner recorded for Sarah, and they wrote the words and they made the music, and they recorded it for her when she was sick.
you, Sarah.
Hello, and thank you to everyone who has come today. I'm Sarah's younger brother, Alex, and I would just like to briefly read some words I had written for Sarah back in the winter. Dear Sarah, I love you, and I will miss you so much. I wish I could find a more poetic or musical way to say that, but it's been difficult to find the words. You've always been the most adventurous and independent person I know. You are bold, talented, and the best dancer in the family. You're a model of how much joy can be found in the world when you follow your own path and let your heart and spirit guide you. I wish I had told you this more often. You inspire me every day, and I know I'm not the only one. You keep telling us that love never dies. It's true. I see how enduring love is, because I see how many hearts you've touched. I've been honored to meet so many of them, and I'm grateful to be one of them. I remember visiting you in San Francisco on a foggy day. I think about all the stories you tell from traveling Europe or Latin America. I can still see the excitement on your face when you find a rare vinyl. I'll treasure each and every one of these moments for the rest of my life. Because I love you, and love never dies.
All right. Turn this up a little bit here. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. I'm going to do my best to get through this. This is her great uncle's tissue, so I got that handy for me. It's a little hanky that she always loves. All right. Thank you all so much for coming. I could spend the entire day up here just thanking everyone for all your love and support. From the first signs of Sarah's illness to all the preparation and hard work that went into today, there's just been a tremendous amount of love and support. So thank you so much, everyone. I'm a little nervous to name names, just out of fear that I might miss someone, but every action from a simple text message to the extremely generous donations to Sarah's support were so crucial in keeping Sarah feeling safe and comfortable. There are way too many to mention, and Sarah asked me to keep these tight, so we're gonna just move through a few. So please forgive me if I forget to mention you. You are all vital. I would like to first thank Mary and Frank, Sarah's parents, and her, well as their sister Teresa and partner Ricky, and her brother Alex and his fiancée Cara, for all their efforts, support, and love. It was very important. Teresa spent months here in California caregiving for Sarah. She and I ensured that there was someone always by someone's side at every moment. Her commitment and devotion to Sarah's care was so essential, and it would be impossible without it. So thank you, Teresa, thank you. I'd like to thank my family for always being there throughout this entire thing, so thank you guys. Leela, Eleni, Meg, Richie, Mike, you've been the dream team. From the first days in the hospital to your enormous efforts towards manifesting today, you've all been incredible. For the moments when I was unable, you were there, and thank you so much. Rada, I can't even begin. So for Sarah's doctor to be my best friend and next door neighbor was the greatest blessing. Thank you. To my fish family, thank you guys. Your pre-hospice house preparation was one of the most crucial elements of just bringing peace and tranquility to this whole process, so thank you. There were so many more. Maritza, Yarrow, Viv, Zuzu, Tracy, Diana, Amber, countless others that were vital parts of this enormous wave of love that lifted Sarah and I up throughout the whole thing, so thank you. I know we're all feeling the pain of this huge loss and the fear of losing our greatest confidant, our greatest supporter and cheerleader, even maybe a little angry and confused. Those feelings of injustice and unfairness that this could happen to Sarah. I won't argue too much with that. Sarah's illness was awful, and she endured way more than she ever should have had to. From the first moment that she asked me to speak back in December, I knew what I needed to say. And I needed to testify and bear witness to how amazing she was through this all. Those nearly 4 months of illness leading up to her death were so intense, and each stage just had its own powerful stories throughout. But I need you to know that the universe really unfolded in such a magical way throughout this whole entire time. It rose up and it lifted Sarah up so many times. There were cosmic coincidences, perfect timings, and simple serendipity. But most of all, it was all a direct result of the way Sarah lived her life and the love for you all. Sarah's always prioritized her family, friends, and community, and it came back to her tenfold. There was such a blossoming and an explosion of love throughout Sarah's illness that only increased each day. Throughout the month of December, our house was a constant revolving door of friends and loved ones from throughout Sarah's life. Decades ago, decade-old relationships, folks from Sarah's life throughout the country. I had to start running security. It was so overwhelming. Doing the guest list for Sarah's hospice tour was definitely my toughest job. Sarah would joke it was like the TV show This Is Your Life. Every time she woke up from a nap, there was someone from some era of her life standing in front of her, telling her how much they loved her and how much she meant. So Sarah got that rare privilege of feeling the impact she made on all our lives. And it was so important and special. There was so much art and music created in her honor that filled her heart so deeply. Those were the greatest gifts. And it may sound weird, but as hard and stressful as those months were, we had an incredible amount of fun and laughs and joy throughout. Sarah and I were able to have all the conversations, and our relationship only grew stronger each day until the end. Taking care of Sarah was a sublime blessing. I've never felt more fully, perfectly my life destiny as I did in those few months. I won't say any of it felt right, but we were all exactly where we needed to be. I'm in this kind of funny, disorienting space right now where I've experienced this devastating loss on one hand and probably the greatest expression of love on the other, and it's all, I've never felt so much love, so it's kind of a funny time. Sarah brought so much joy and love into our lives. I really refuse to have her legacy be mired in pain and sadness. Sarah loved too hard, worked too hard, and gave us all too much to not be eternally grateful. I know it's hard, I really do. But Sarah's left us so much wisdom and all the tools in order to face this grief. By now, we've all heard the famous mantra, love never dies. But me and her had a lot of different sayings and meditations throughout the time that we used to help us keep calm and centered. A big one was trust love and trust the universe. And she also really liked be gentle with yourself and be gentle with others. So I hope you all can hear Sarah's voice guiding you through this journey, and it brings you some solace, and I hope it resonates loudly. Sarah was an artist, a dancer, a revolutionary, and a connector. So I hope you meet some new and interesting people today, and that you just find some inspiration to create or to dance or just enjoy it all. Sarah's gave us all that we need to know on how to move through this time with strength, love, and gratitude. And if you ever should forget, I will be very happy to remind you at any time. Thank you everyone. And you know, there's one last mantra, smash the patriarchy.
Wow, Phil. You're tall also. Gosh, when Roxy asked me to speak here, I just said, you know I'm gonna cry through the whole thing, right? She's like, I know you. Yes, you are, and you have permission, so she said it's okay. It's just so much to say, but I have so much love for this beautiful woman, Sarah, but when I first met her, I swear she was like the coolest girl in all of the Bay Area. Like, it was like an unattainable cool. I was like, oh my God, I wonder if I can be a friend with someone that cool. And, you know, I was probably 18, 19, we both were, and she just was shining so bright even then. And we were just like transient children in the mission and in San Francisco, and but she went by B-Girl Dark Star back then, which, you know, a dark star is a star that has a gravitational pull so strong that it actually absorbs the light. And it's also a song by the Grateful Dead, which many of you may know, but it was a song that was written right here in Rio Nido, which I think is synchronistic. And it was the first song that Robert Hunter wrote for the Dead, and, you know, we kind of shared this kind of hippie Massachusetts, you know, old school childhood, so we bonded on these multiple levels of hip hop and Grateful Dead, and but it was also a song that is just epic, and it was like improvisation, and it was very groundbreaking in terms of its drums in space and psychedelic. You know, they'd be like 15 minutes long. They were just epic, you know, which seemed so appropriate. But at one point, she just decided that she didn't want to be dark anymore. And so she was like, I'm going to change my name. What do you think about Rox C Brown? And I was like, that is so cool. I love it. And it just feels like Roxy, like rock. You rock the mic, you rock the dance floor, you rock the wall, and Roxy is just sassy and just, you know, and Brown, just so proud of who she is. And she was like, you were the first person that, like, the name transition was really easy. I was like, yeah, because it's your name. Like, it's obviously that. She was just so, back then, like, and even until now, I mean, she was just so brave, so unapologetic, so herself. And she would just, like, you know, we'd be out and she'd be like, I'm gonna battle that dude. And I'd be like, you're wearing heels. And she's like, I'm gonna do it anyway. And she'd just like smoke him. It was great. But she was just, you know, a meteorite. The transitive nightfall of diamonds is a lyric from Dark Star. And I just always think of this beautiful, majestic, cosmic being that she is. And she always was a little radical, a rebel, innovator, original thinker, creative, purposeful, directed, smart, and very deep. And, you know, it's been over 20 years or more, and, you know, she just proved to be the best friend, like, best of the best. Loyal, loving, thoughtful, a listener, knowledgeable, and she had a capacity for human nature. She had just understanding. And I feel like she really, like, got me, like, on the realest level. I'm sure so many of you feel that way. She was just like a ride or die, you know? A true friend that would show up. She'd be there. She was like a voice of reason. Sometimes when you didn't actually really want to know how right she was. But I know that, like, she had that effect on so many of us where we all feel that strongly connected, like, and that's why, you know, she was like a guiding star. And when she faced her own mortality, she did it with that same grace and focus and the fire of the battle She faced her fears with intention and determination, and it was just awe-inspiring. Like, it was incredible to see. And she was scared. But then she was like worried about all of us, you know. She was like concerned how we felt about it all. Because that's who she is just so thoughtful and loving. And I just want to really thank Phil for those moments when I saw everything you did. And Teresa, you being here was so important for her. And Alex coming, her parents to be here, all of that meant so much. And all of her friends, who are now my friends, you all showed up in the way she always did, but you all showed up for her, like for real. And you let her know what she meant to us. And let her know that we'd fight with her. And her birthday was just epic because she beat all the odds. She made it just the most joyous, amazing, incredible day. And to be able to share that from afar was just, you know, like what a birthday should be, a true celebration of life and living. And here we are, where she didn't want to be, we didn't want to be here, you know, but I don't know if it'll ever make sense, honestly. But her legacy that we'll celebrate tonight with the House of the Living Frequency was something she'd been working on for the last few years and was really committing a lot of energy to, and we would talk a lot about it. It was her vision for, you know, a space to share love of music and dance and art and spirit and connection, and we would just talk about why it was such a great concept, like living frequency. It's everything resonates a frequency. Everything is vibrating. Atoms, cells, even non-living things can hold a vibration. Our brains, neurons fire at specific frequencies. Our brain waves can create a shared resonance and a connection in consciousness and shared thought. Our heart creates electromagnetic beats for our cells to all dance together in sync. And it can go beyond our bodies. And resonance is a sound that is prolonged and extended by reflection off a surface or a vibration through a nearby object, right? So you resonate that vibration. And it's a universal phenomenon that can sometimes feel like tendencies of like self-organization, right? It can feel like, you know, fireflies when their lights all light up at the same time when they're next to each other, but then they're far away and they're individual, but then when they're close, or bird flocks or schools of fish moving together in unison in ways that scientists can't explain. And they're all in the flow, and it's a synchronicity of nature and energy, and it's not accidental or random, but in fact, it's the rule of the universe. It's the rhythms within the rhythms within the rhythms within the rhythms, and it's our spirit, our gods. It's the beat in us, resonating through us. And so I like to think that we're forever linked. That song that makes you think of her, or that twinkle in the sky, the bird that's singing, we're bonded, connected. We are the reflection. We are truly living in her frequency. And will continue to resonate with her love And we will vibrate and ripple out from the center. That was Roxy, Sarah. The brightest star, the sweetest song, the infinite collective and connection of resonance, one. And so now we are forever in the internal house of the living frequency.
Spring. Now is come the month of roses. To the woods my verse has flown, gathering fragrance and honey from the blossoms newly blown. Beloved, come to the forest. The woodland shall be our shrine, scented with holy perfume of the laurel and the vine. From treetop to treetop, flitting, the birds greet you with sweet lay, finding joy in your beauty, fairer than the birth of day. And the haughty oaks and hemlocks bend their leafy branches green, forming, rustling, regal arches for the passage of a queen.
Doblando aire para ser.
As a preview.
Hey everybody. Thanks for coming out to honor her with us today. Super important that she feels us. I'm gonna do my best to pull it together. You can't practice this shit. That was Marita Spindler, her best friend and soul sister she was raised with in Lawrence, and did everything together, traveled the world, all the things. She really wanted to be here today, but she's got 2 teenage daughters and she just cannot pull away from her life back there. I'm gonna try to stay on script, but not read from my paper, but I was hoping that we could invoke her spirit and surround ourselves in her presence. And to do that, I just like everyone to repeat her names after me. So she began as Sarah Ramirez.
Sarah Ramirez.
She became Dark Star.
Dark Star.
And eventually, Rox C Brown.
Rox C Brown.
Feel the grip of her hug. Smell the scent of her floor water. Or Chanel, or Amber Essence, whatever she's wearing that day. Hear her goofy ass laugh. Her like high pitched squeal when she hasn't seen you in a while. She sure did have a way. She was born from revolutionaries, Mary and Frank, during the revolution, January 31st, 1978, in Managua, Nicaragua. As a small child, they returned to her mother's hometown, Lawrence, Massachusetts, which was a textile town, a blue-collar town, an industrial town. And she was raised there alongside her brother Alex and her sister Teresa as a proud immigrant family. Like, so much pride. And her lifelong best G, Marita Spindler. And how blessed am I that I entered her story when we both landed in Arcata, California, late in 1996. She was just 18, I was 23. So adorable with her thick black dreadlocks and her John Lennon frames and her long flowy dresses that some hippie made. We met because I needed a ride to the Oakland airport to go home for Christmas. I distinctly remember that van ride to the city where we had both made, candles and like olive oil with peppers and rosemary sealed with wax to like take home to our parents for Christmas. But little did I know that this was the beginning of one of the most enduring and endearing friendships I would ever have. Those Humboldt years were pretty epic. At the dance parties that we had at the Antlers Lodge, where she lived with Jenny and Adie and Zuzu, those parties went off. It even brought people up from the Bay and ultimately created the allure that moved us to San Francisco. So in January 2000, I made the move. That girl was right on my heels. She stayed on my couch. She figured her shit out. That's when she met Yarrow and started dancing and getting into the scene. She moved into a house with me in North Beach. We quickly found our footing as ravers and househeads. She also had a love for hip hop and breaks and started tagging and going by Darkstar. Those were her B-girl days. She was such an empowered dancer. I can remember her coming up to me on the dance floor one night at the club. Her palms were crusty and black. And I was like, girl, go wash your hands right now. This isn't a battle. Just stick to up rocking and popping and locking. Like, no more floor work today, okay? But I mean, she was so into throwing down. Like Aaron said, I mean, it didn't take much for her to be like, I want to battle it. It was like, she was so good. That handstand move that you see in the pictures, like, she could really rock a handstand. Let's see. So, yeah, contrary to her chosen name, Darkstar, she was such a bright, shining star, so full of talent and vision. That's what led her to pursue other interests eventually. She didn't want to break her arms. So she got into fashion, production, and DJing. And her new professional name became Rox C Brown. Not long after I left SF for New York, she made her big move to LA, and ultimately Paris and Europe, where she spent a lot of time. We never fell out of touch. We'd visit each other in our respective cities. And as the fates would have it, we both circled back to the Bay Area and landed here in West County 6 years ago. I am beyond grateful that I got another chapter with that girl. You know, another chance for her to be a part of my everyday, someone that I talk to all the time. I mean, how fucking amazing was she? Like, how fun and goofy and unbridled was she? I mean, also, how sincere, direct, and sensitive was she? She was a true friend. For the rest of my days, I will hear that fucking laugh and her ecstatic squeal. Oh yeah, and when I need to hear a voice of reason, it will be her saying, "Oh, hell no." And we all hear her saying, "Oh, hell no." I mean, somehow that woman's incoherent ramblings made sense of the world for me. You know, like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I hear you. And yeah, I mean, if there's anyone that taught me to take myself less seriously, it was her. Her exuberance was infectious. Yeah, like I said, she might have been hard to follow sometimes, but she could always lift your mood and bring you up to her level. Her superpower was to uplift. And she embodied the best parts of all of us. I mean, that's it. Now it's up to us to carry her vibration forward, to be authentic, stubborn, and unapologetic. I think that's a theme today. Because that was her. Yeah, we just got to keep her right here where she belongs, where she's always existed. Because that girl was all heart, for real.
Memorial from my friend
Always
that
be my little sister.
I on Zoom.
Sarah Ramirez, my homie for life, my G. We love you. Thanks, everybody.
And I'm humble.
Sarah, the thing about Sarah, she was super duper, completely 100% authentically no bullshit. This girl did not do bullshit. And obviously we've talked a lot today about her incredible creative output and breakdancing in San Francisco, doing music in Berlin and Paris, doing styling and production in LA, and more music back up here. But she did all of these things by her own motto and her own credo, and she didn't do it within a corporate structure, and she didn't do it within gossip structure. She didn't do any of these bullshit things. She just did it with her own heart and the way that met her own values and sense of integrity. And this is something that drew me to her so strongly, because not everyone can do this. Not everyone can be an independent operator and do it in a way in which after a while you don't develop a chip on your shoulder because you're kind of forging new paths on your own, and or you're not becoming holier than thou and shitting on other people. Like, that was the crazy twist about Sarah for me that was so incredibly unique and baffling. I don't know how she kept this frame of mind. I don't know how she did it. I related to her so much about all this other stuff. And then when it came to the way in which she led with her independence and independently did things, she did it with love, and I just was like, well, this is new. And how are you, what? And it was really sincere. She wasn't like kissing ass. She wasn't, doing all of these things that you would find in these like bullshit structures and like these societal structures that are, I think, more common. And it's just really incredible the way that she was able to maneuver and do all of this incredible creative work and do it with such integrity. She really pushed herself to do things better and harder and bigger, and I mean, there was no other force other than her pushing for this. And yet, like, she did it with love, she did it with happiness, she did it with incredible grace, and it's
something that was just so incredible to me and still is, and something that I aspire to do and be, to hold all of this integrity, to be no bullshit, to kind of do what you want to do creatively and operate outside of these traditional paths, but to do it with love and humor and compassion. I don't know if I'll ever get there, but she's gonna continue to be that marker for me that I strive for, and I hope that it's something that that can be a guiding point for all of us, really, because it's such a tricky thing. It's just such an incredible move to pull off. I mean, the breakdancing, yeah, but like this is a move that's like, what? So I don't know. I love Sarah, and I love what she's taught me and what she continues to teach me.
My name is Rhoda Lewis. I don't know everybody here. I know a good number more people than I did a few months ago. I'm a family physician here, and I've known Sarah since her and Phil started dating in 2019. We all lived across the street from each other. We still do. And because of these things, I've had the privilege of intimacy with our friend Rox C Brown just really in the last few months of her life, because you know, it was COVID, and we had dinners together, and you know, she was my dear friend's girlfriend, so I was trying to get to know her little by little, but she had a lot of friends, so she wasn't really, you know, she wasn't like, yes, I want to be a part of your crew. She was like, no, I've got my own crew. Lots of people love me already. But yeah, I guess I'm willing to let you in. So I didn't really get to know her till the end, and I just want to talk for a minute about resilience, which is a card I pulled out of my angel cards a week ago or so, and resilience I thought was a good word to discuss today. It's the capacity to withstand or recover quickly from difficulties. It means toughness, and it also means elasticity. It means durability and strength, and it also means spring and give and adaptability. I remember, I'm going to talk about the end, okay? I remember one day in December, she was really sick that month. She was in bed. She couldn't get up. She was very weak. She was swollen. She was uncomfortable. She couldn't really talk much more than a whisper at that time. She woke up and she just kept saying, my ears are clogged, my ears are clogged, my ears are clogged. And then a minute or two later, she closed her eyes and she said, that's okay. That's just what's happening right now. That can change. It's not going to be like this forever. It's just what's happening right now. And she popped her eyes open and she asked for a drink. A drink. Because we were constantly making her these mocktails all through December. We made so many drinks. Orange popsicle with ginger beer and pina colada mix and shaved ice. Shaken. Fruit punch, pineapple juice, and a splash of Coke. Shaken. Coke with lemonade, mango juice, and Pedialyte. Shaved ice, shaken. Every drink was made with homemade flavored shaved ice that Phil and Teresa made and kept in the freezer, shaken, not stirred, for presentation. We called it Rox C Brown's Elixir Bar. She kept us busy all day making drinks, misting her face, applying lotions, lip balms, and sprayed. And this woman turned the experience of lying in bed, unable to move, into a beautiful dance. You know, she kept us all constantly connecting to her and interacting with her, and also interacting with each other, like all day, all night. So many of her friends came to visit during that time to say goodbye. Sometimes she was awake for that and ready, and sometimes she was asleep, and she would wake up during the visit, disoriented, she was uncomfortable, but she rallied every single time to engage with the people around her. Every time, you know, and sometimes we said the silliest things, you know, like awkward things and crazy things, because where are the words, you know, to find at a moment like this, when you're sitting in the face of this unexpected tragedy unfolding, there are no right words to say. And we just said nutty things to her, and she took all of it in stride. She did not pull back, you know, she didn't lay back, she didn't bow out, she just engaged right through the awkwardness with love and compassion and forgiveness for our awkwardness, you know? For the last 6 weeks of her life, Roxy was on steroids. The steroids gave her a really big boost, and it looked like, from the outside, like this huge miracle had happened because she was on steroids, and she had a lot more energy, and she was able to stay awake, and she started to be able to get around, and it's Roxy, so of course, there she was organizing activities. We need glasses. I need a new pair of glasses. Let's go to the beach. I want a pink wig. Even at the very end of her life, in the last 10 days after her birthday, when the steroids stopped working, as they do in this situation, quickly and dramatically, even as things were going downhill fast, this woman did not falter, she did not complain, she just kept pushing through. She literally went one breath at a time. I've never seen somebody navigate such a terrible terminal illness with so much toughness and so much adaptability and so much buoyancy and love for just being alive and connected with other people. Sarah's given me the template of what it looks like to be resilient. A template I can use when I go through hard things, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, sometimes one breath at a time, with the capacity to withstand, to recover quickly, and to stay planted in love.
Doblando aire para hacer olas. With wings for feet, you move to each beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. On the floor, count, drum in the heart, fire to the capital you enter. A pure reflection of your people in the heart of the revolution. Blazing battleground, heartbeats, golden hearts, your heart never claimed defeat. A fist raised high, third eye diamonds in the sky, the ocean your guide within the rhythms of life. Moon tides, new moon times to plant the seeds of dreams. A drummed heart you beat rhythmically. La gente, la familia, los manos de oro created magic as a masterpiece. Courage controlled by breath, work, binary beats you'd sleep into woven dreamscapes. El alimento del fuego. Respect you earned and burned into barricaded spaces. How could you not? The fire was burning and you knew how to bend the wind. Your life was endless learning and yearning for balance, for connection, for expansion. Yes, we said equality for all, but you rallied for equity as an obtainable ambition, vision. Our mother said she left a mammoth hole. It was no ordinary hole. It was a hole next to a willow tree with bent knee, a tulip field where rainbow-feathered birds sang of your praise under pink-clouded skies, where we all said queen and your egalitarian heart would proclaim, no, equal, feel me queen and you queen. A hole where lilac trees hold your ancestral dreams and your dreams spew from record-shaped vision boards. Redwood groves tickled your toes and laughter explodes like thunder. It's passion, it's the pain. Meh, a full word with that you would explain. 3 letters, 3 names, ocean sets of waves, your domain. It was with razor focus you'd light a path, discovering the mastery of escape, knowing the most efficient way to move about the ocean's waves. Worded wavescapes played and sprayed. It was the warmth you hold in the way you'd say everyone's name. Our ride or live, your Nicaraguan heart, our hearts entwined, expanded. Love never dies. To this transition, you planted seeds of meeting dreams, an angel to guide us, an ancestor to uphold the balance of humanity, good, fairness, laughter, wisdom, and love. Your fierce heart to live with intention, your connection to your friends, family, and your adventurous spirit will live on through us. It was the light in the stillness between morning and night that guided you in your grace. We promise it won't be erased. Fuego rushes like a song through your veins. Passion for the people it rained. Tears with the sunlight created rainbows in your name. Moments from the heart beats, the bass, and it continues to rain. Rain, tears of rain. You and all your magic is what continues to rain.
beautiful video is from Leela there. I'm gonna, can you please stand up a little bit so you can, so we're gonna close the directions and move on. I'm gonna release the guardians of all the directions and the elements. Thank you for surrounding us with Sarah's prayers and her love. Sarah may be gone, but as she says, love never dies. So after this is the House of the Living Frequency over at the theater. And we really decked it out. It's pretty fabulous in there. It's pretty amazing, so we hope to make it. I know there's a large gap in between now and the theater, but there is the ocean that's really close, if anyone wants to go there. There's also good restaurants and maybe a nap if you live close by. I wanted to point out the directions also. Leela and Yarrow and a few other people set them up, but each of them are, there's an activation that has to do with each one of them, and each one of them is a different phase of Sarah's life. So it actually starts over there, right, youth, or well, it starts there and it goes around. You can do it however you want, but on the back of the program, there's little cues, and I think on each altar there's info too. I need to say. So thank you all for being here.